Is this thing on? Hello, friends. Kash is back from LoreForged, and you might notice something missing in the picture. The wife said you had better shave it or you won't get... Well, let's just not worry about that too much, okay? Today, we are here to talk about classes in Ashes of Creation.
This whole class is gonna feel my wrath. Now, D nice.
Do you mean Denise?
Son of a bitch!
Classes are something that is going to be a very large part of your gameplay because it's going to dictate everything. So what are classes, Kash? Well, your classes are going to be a combination of both a primary and a secondary archetype. What is an archetype? Well, archetypes, there are going to be 8 in Ashes of Creation, and these are going to be your very standard, very straightforward, which we love, Dungeons and Dragons style archetypes. And you're looking at fighter, tank, rogue, ranger, mage, summoner, cleric, or bard. Once you choose your primary archetype, you cannot change it. That is set in stone. You'll be able to level up your skills as you progress via a skill tree. You're going to pick and choose from these skills. You can't level them all, but all of these skills in combination is going to create your particular build. Something that absolutely blew my mind was the fact that in Ashes of Creation, each archetype is going to have roughly 35 to 40 different skills to choose from on average. Excuse me, what? Yes, that's correct, 35 to 40. Now at level 25, however, you will be able to choose a secondary archetype. And this is where things get spicy.
Why is it spicy?
What this creates is a total of 64 total archetype combinations to create your class. Then you can augment those primary skills that you've chosen with effects from your secondary archetype. So this isn't going to vastly change the way your character plays, but it is going to give you flavor from your secondary archetype.
So meaty.
How does this all work, Kash? Well, stay tuned because I'm going to tell you. Let's say the first archetype you choose is Rogue. You're going to get a set of skills that you can use to make up your build, as we talked about before. Then at level 25, you choose your secondary archetype. Let's say you choose the Ranger. Now that makes you no longer just a rogue or a ranger. You now become a predator. Now you can augment your rogue skills with effects from the ranger archetype. Let's choose another example, and this comes directly from the wiki. If a fighter were to choose a mage as a secondary archetype, the fighter would become a spellsword. This combination opens up augments that can be applied to skills in their primary skill tree. Fighters, on the other hand, have a rush skill that allows them to rush towards a target, and upon reaching the target, deal an amount of damage with a chance to knock that target down. A blink augment could be applied to the rush skill, very, very magey, which would now teleport the player to the target, thus eliminating the charge time on the skill. Even though augments do radically change the way your active skills provide you abilities, there's still a primary focus on the base archetype itself and not the whole 64 classes. And that is a direct quote from Stephen Sharif. So basically what's happening is they're not really talking about 64 true classes. They're talking about 8 base classes with 64 possible variants. Now, there isn't as much variance between the 64 classes as you might expect, as we talked about. It's not like there are 64 different versions of radically different classes. But Kash, what if I choose a pure class? Like Rogue is my base and Rogue at level 25. Well, that would make you an assassin. And there's a whole bunch of different variants of this. Say we were to pick Cleric. That would make you a high priest. How about a Ranger Rogue? Ranger Rogue is going to make you a scout, different from the Rogue Ranger, which makes you a predator, as we talked about before. So if you can just imagine all of those 64 different class combinations, it's going to add a lot of variety. Now you may be asking yourself, Kash, how are they going to balance all of this? Well, that's a very interesting thing that we've been talking about quite a bit on our show. What if I'm a cleric and I'm out picking flowers, as clerics do, and I get jumped by an assassin, a rogue, because I happen to be picking flowers in his favorite meditation spot? Well, Mr. Healy-feely, let's ask Steven what he thinks. In a podcast several years ago, which we dearly miss, and it was called From the Ashes. We love you, Agelos. In that podcast, Steven made a quote that kind of smoothed this out a little bit.
There will be matchups in 1v1s where one class will be superior to another, and that application should be a rock, paper, scissors dynamic. We want there to be counterplay between the different classes. Instead, it's going to be a group-focused balance where as long as you have the diversity of class present, that's going to be an equal level playing field. Going to be very dependent on skill and strategy.
So in the case of a cleric picking flowers that gets jumped by an assassin, you might want to drop the flowers and run.
Run, Forrest, run!
So the class system in Ashes of Creation will be both vast and have an air of simplicity at the same time. And with this planned system, you should be able to absolutely nail your Envision class or playstyle, or get pretty damn close. If the class system doesn't really pinpoint exactly what you want in a character, well, that's where the roleplay comes in. What are your thoughts on the class system in Ashes of Creation? Leave us a comment right down there. Better yet, call us, and we just may use your comment on our weekly LoreForged podcast. Call us at 516-875-1776. That's going to do it for this 5-minute opinion. Go research your class. It's a lot of fun. Get on that wiki. Safe travels, adventurers.